Stars compact, like the one I have and love.
So hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do another video on Artistry wall. So the first video, which I've launched last week, I think, is on Natasha Denonga's face glowing tutorial, and today we're gonna do another tutorial, and this time we're gonna do Makeup Geek's owner Marlena Stell's 2019 new foundation routine video, and I'm really excited for that, and I know that her her documentary is gonna launch in December or something like that, and I'm really excited to watch that documentary that she filmed. And let's get started with our Artistry wall video, shall we? Let's get started. So for start, she used Bobbi Brown that vitamin infused kind of a primer to prime her face, and she said if you have dry skin, use the face oil, and we're gonna use the ordinary plant-derived squalane to prime our face, which I never use oil to prime my face. Usually I will use just a hydrating kind of like a primer to prime my face. And also my lips. I don't usually prime with oil because I do get oily sometimes, and I do like a matte base more than like a dewy base if I'm wearing the makeup wear all day. Even though I do prefer a dewy look, but for a daily basis I usually like a matte base. So for the next step, she's using some powder, which today we are going to use a Fenty powder, which this is the only loose powder that I have. That's a lie. And she takes some powder and use a sponge, as she mentioned, and just use slightly dab the sponge to the powder, and we will set our center of her face with the powder. She calls this the reverse technique, where you place powder before cream, and then using a really thin layer of powder, which I do like to set my primer sometimes before putting on foundation, so that I can have some mattifying properties without like setting my foundation. It's sticking. There's like a splotch of powder on my face here and here, not anywhere else but just the cheek. Maybe this is when the sponge is a little too wet. I don't know. Let's fix it with more powder. God knows. Maybe that's too much, I don't know. But we will see. So, So she's using a foundation that's like a dewy foundation. I'll be using a matte foundation. But she said if it's a thicker kind of like a foundation, you can use an oil to make it like thinner and more dewy. And today we're using the Fenty Beauty matte foundation, and we will use some oil to make this slightly dewier. Let's see how this goes. I'm taking 3 pumps, and this is quite a lot of products, and then we will drop 3 drops of oil, and we will use the brush to mix it. So she's just puts the product on. So I found that powdering my like primer sometimes give me really nice matte result. Sometimes it doesn't. I think it really depends on how my skin is. And I think this technique is great because I'm using a really I'm using an oil basically. And a lot of times, sometimes oil would just make your skin really kind of like really glowy, really hydrated, and a little bit of powder will help with like the dewiness, the longevity of it. But I'm using a lot of oil today, so Let's see how dewy we get. I can feel the glowiness and like how dewy I am for the rest of my day. Even though it's like very late here right now, I can feel that it's not gonna set itself down. So she said that either you can add like an oil or like a cream highlighter to make it more dewy, and as we can see, even though on our skin, and this one is the foundation and this is how it looks on my face, it's much more dewier here than it's on here. And I think that it's really beautiful looking, and it's very luminous. Like sometimes I will use a very luminous kind of like a base and it will be very luminous regardless of like how matte the foundation is.
Kind of warming up the face. When you put foundation on, it flattens everything out, so you have to add dimension back in. So that's where contouring comes in. But if you use powder, it's not going to give you that really fresh, dewy look that I'm going for. So I like to use a cream one. So what I'm going to do is use this cream formula. Any brand will do. Just find something that's creamy, that's, you know, good 3-4 shades darker than your skin.
The next step is she's contouring. So we are using our hourglass contour, which is not 3 to 4 shades darker. This is just 1 or 2, I think 2 to 3, not really dark, and we will be contouring with this.
And I'm gonna find that cheekbone and apply it right under there, kind of in a diagonal thing like that. I know it looks cray-cray right now. Give me a minute, let me blend it out. I'm gonna put a little bit on my forehead because my forehead's a little bit bigger. If you have a smaller forehead, skip that part. Okay, we're going to take that same foundation brush, wipe it off on a towel, and we can use this to blend in the contour.
And then she will use the same brush to contour it. She clean her brush, I'm not cleaning it. It really doesn't matter, I feel like. But next time, maybe. So she is buffing up and down. I feel like having oil on the face or using a really creamy base makes things really blend, like really easily. Make sure you contour, you don't do this, don't bring it down, always bring it back to the hairline. That's one thing that I learned. Or else you will look like muddy, and that's not a good look.
Now it's time for the blush part. I want to keep this very creamy, very dewy. For whatever reason, no brands are selling cream blushes right now, which is so frustrating because I'm just looking for a little bit of dewiness and warmth. So all I'm gonna do is take my fingers, take a couple middle fingers here, kind of rub them together. And what I'm gonna do is just dab it on the apples of my cheeks to add even more dewiness on there and a little bit of color. Let me apply a little bit more just so you can see that color.
She's using a cream highlighter. She's using lipstick, and for me I have like a cream highlight and a cream blush, so I'll be using a cream blush from Makeup Geek, and she Color Pop, and we will be using our fingies and just tap it on our cheeks. very, very dewy. Very, very, very dewy, I'm looking.
Now, I did forget to mention this step for you all. If you feel like you have dark circles on your eyes or you need just a little bit more coverage under there, you can apply a concealer. And this step is very like, you know, Instagram type makeup, but the difference is I'm gonna use a lighter type of concealer. I really like the Laura Mercier one. I feel like it's not as thick as some of the other ones on the market. This is their Flawless Fusion one. And so I got the shade 1N. It's obviously much lighter than my skin tone. I'm doing this just to brighten and highlight the area. And what I'm doing is just taking a really soft kind of dome brush like this, and we're just gonna feather it out. Again, keeping it super creamy. So we don't want it to be too thick, so we're just doing a very light layer.
So she's using a very light liquidy highlighter, not highlighter, a concealer. It's late. Concealer, and I don't really own a lot of concealer that's really liquidy, and this one is the one that's the lightest one in my collection, so we will be using this one, the Tarte Creaseless Concealer, and we will just have a dot here and then a dot there. She's using a soft dome brush, which I don't have as well. So we will be using a brush, a flat brush, and then just gonna tap it on. This is like a thicker concealer, but I don't think the coverage is like extremely high, but adequate, and it's comfortable to wear. But not the best in terms of like a very, very creamy highlight, creamy concealer. If you want a creamy concealer, go buy the It one. The It one is better. You can see it's really, really brightening under the eyes because it was so light.
This is where the only place I feel like you can apply a little bit of powder. Use this one, something that's super, super fine milled. So I really like this Dermacolor one. Take that same brush and just get as much off the brush as you can. You want the smallest amount of powder possible. I know it looks like a lot of powder because it's going all over the place, but just put a little bit under here to set it. Put a little bit on your lids. And that's it. That's all the powder you need. We're not even going to put any in the T-zone because we already set it beforehand before we put our foundation down.
Next step, she's setting the under eyes. This is where you only set in her or in her tutorial, which, I mean, this is the only place where I set my like foundation if I'm like just wearing something, because mascara like smudges here no matter what I put down. So we'll be using the Fit Me powder again, knock off the excess, which there's not much left, and then just press it under the eyes. I'm not pressing it to my lids because we're doing an eye tutorial after that. She said she won't be setting her like T-zone. It's because we have already have powder on there, which yes, we've set our primers there, so we are not gonna set there.
Okay, now comes the highlighter. I said I love the Charlotte Tilbury one. I think it's my favorite one, the Flawless Filter. So what I'm gonna do is use a little bit of that. And this is the color number 3, light medium. I think there's 3 different colors that she has. So put some of that on the back of your hand. And we can either take a brush, like this cheek highlighter brush from Makeup Geek. I'm gonna use some of that, swirl it into the brush, Kind of get it all into the bristles. And I'm just going to highlight the top of the cheekbones just like that. It's going to give a subtle glow. You can put a little bit and dab some on the center of your forehead, down your nose, a little bit on your chin, above your lip, anywhere where you want it to be just a subtle glow and a nice little highlight. Do you see the skin there with that? It's not a shimmer, it's not a sheen, it's just a nice dewy effect to the skin. So
for the next step, she will be using a cream highlighter or like a stick highlighter. That's a creamed one. And then she will apply it with like a highlighter brush, which I don't have one. So I'll be using my foundation brush again. And I'll be swatching some on my hand. This is a purplish highlight, which I hope that I have like another color, but this is the best thing that we get. So she's just tapping on to the high points of the cheeks, some on the forehead, some on the chin, and some on the top of the lips. It's pretty similar to how like our first kind of like tutorial where Natasha Denona puts a lot of cream highlight. She doesn't use a lot of powder, and she like hydrates the skin a lot, and a lot of the things are really subtle that she does. And this one is like quite subtle as well, and a lot of cream products. And I don't feel oily now, for now, but I'm pretty sure that this doesn't last a really long time. And I'll be priming my eyes, and we will see you after that.
So I'm going to start with the green color here. It's Dirty Martina. Dirty Martini. Obviously, I didn't say it right because I need a martini right now. I'm going to use the Sigma Precision Round Brush. It's just kind of a dome one like this. I'm really struggling today, you guys. I really think I need that martini. So I'm going to take some of that on the brush, and what I'm going to do is we're going to start out here on the outer corner of the eye.
My favorite palette.
We're going to do kind of a smoky eye with it.
I'll be placing Troop on the outer edges using a fluffy brush. They have bigger eyes than I do, and I have smaller eyes, which I use smaller brushes because I don't want it to be too big. I want it to be tight. So we will be placing the color on the other corners. Ooh, you can see the color already. You just have to pick up a little bit of color. And she's blending the color in. And then she's like attempting a halo eye of sorts. So we'll be placing the same color in our inner corners. So she switched brushes to blend things out, but I'll be using the same fluffy brush to blend. So the next step, she put on some very warm crease shade. So we'll be using the shade Chrism, and then we will just slightly grace it into our crease. My trick to doing eyeshadow is just to open up your eyes and look up, and then close it and look, see where the color is, and then look up again. So this will help you to have more space when you look up, and then when you close it, you will see where you're placing, so that you don't put it too high up or just too much. So I'll be blending this for a bit. Using the small brush, and then we will be putting in some back of the crease, no, in the inner corner. She's doing a really soft kind of like an eye look. And then she used MAC paint pot to prime her eyes, like the middle of her eyes. So we'll be using ABH primer, definitely not paint pot. I don't have one. And we will be using the It Cosmetics concealer brush and just place it in the middle. And don't place it past where you where the green shadow is. So she'll be putting a gold color on the center of the lid. So I'll be using the color Raw Color Blaze, using the fingers. Using my fingers, and I will place it on my lids. So she'll be using a brown shade to use it under her eyes. I'll be using the shade Pure, using a liner brush, pencil brush, not a liner, pencil brush, and just bring it in 2/3. So for the inner corner, she'll be using a coppery shade to line her inner third, and I'll be using the shade Penny on the same liner brush. So the next step, she'll be lining her eyes with a green liner, which I don't have. I'll be using olive green, kind of like a golden shimmer liner to line my eyes. I don't usually line my eyes. Because when I line them, usually they would just smudge onto my lower lash line. So she will use mascara, which I will not be using. No, she will be using lashes, and I will not be using that. I'm lazy, and I don't want to put lashes on because they're like a process. And I'll be using the Maybelline Pump Up Colossal for that reason. To finish the look, I will be using the Maybelline lipstick and a shade Move For Me. So this is the finished look. The foundation. Let's talk about the base first. I really like the base. This is dewy. This is something that I like, that I feel like it doesn't feel heavy. It feels very blended. Everything, there's no sharp lines. Everything is really seamless, very glowy. A bit too glowy for like a daily basis, which I mean Australia is entering summer and I won't be surviving with this. This is too glowy for the summer, but for winter I guess you can like get away with it if you don't live in a very warm environment. Like some classroom, they use heaters and they are just not good for skin if you are in a really hot environment. Good for dry skin, 2 thumbs up for that. But I will definitely set my face with powder. Like, this is a lot of glow. This is how I look when I wear a foundation for 12 hours in a very humid environment. This is how I look. But for now, it's good. I would definitely powder this down, because even though I have like powder underneath the skin, I've used oil with my foundation, so it will be extra glowy. And I will do this again. Definitely I will use some oil with my foundation to make it more glowy, make it less drying during the winter. But other than that, I don't have like anything that I want to like say bad about this foundation. For the eyes, it's extremely subtle, which I like, and this is the halo eye that I will try to do, and I've been failing to do halo eyes for a long period of time, and this is a really beautiful kind of like halo-ish kind of a look. Very subtle, very everyday kind of a glam look. So I'm really enjoying this look, and I feel really great. My skin, it's tacky, and it definitely will rub off like this. But like for someone who has dry skin and wants to look this dewy, girl, you should try this tutorial. So everything will be linked down below, like the videos will link down below. Thanks for watching, and there will be more videos coming in this in this Artistry swap series. And please keep on watching. Please subscribe, like, comment down below, and click the bell button for more notification. And I will see you in the next Artistry swap video on Friday. I promise I will do it every Friday for now. See you soon, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.